chosen one, you didn't click this by accident. Heaven has been whispering your name across eternity, and right now, all of heaven has stopped, just to speak to you. But first, let me ask you something that's going to shake you to your core. Why have you been sleeping through the most important conversation of your lifetime? Why have you been accepting crumbs when there's a feast with your name engraved on the golden plate? And why, tell me, why are the very people who once dismissed you now losing sleep over your next move? Here's a truth that's going to hit you like lightning. While you've been questioning your worth, boardrooms across this nation have been buzzing with one name: yours. While you've been doubting your calling, powerful forces have been strategizing around the threat you represent to their empire of lies. Listen carefully, chosen one, because what I'm about to reveal will shatter every limitation you've accepted about yourself. You are not just the talk of the town. You are the earthquake that's about to reshape the landscape of everything they thought they controlled. This isn't a sermon. This is a divine subpoena. You've been summoned. Right now, as you hear these words, there are arrests being planned. Financial thieves who stole your inheritance are about to face justice. The conspirators who whispered lies about your character are watching their own reputations crumble like ancient walls. The very networks that tried to bury your destiny are now witnessing your resurrection in real time. But here's what's driving them absolutely insane. You're not just surviving their attacks, you're thriving through them. You're not just recovering what they stole, you're about to receive divine interest on every tear you cried. If you feel even a flicker in your chest right now, that's your spirit recognizing truth. I want you to comment below, "I'm here, Lord." That's your first act of obedience. Your first spiritual fingerprint on this message. Before we go deeper into this revelation, I want to thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating. You're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here, your support, your time, your attention. It all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and sow that seed of faith. Now, chosen one, answer me this. Why are the powerful suddenly whispering about you? What do they see that you've been ignoring? The ones who tried to bury you are now watching you rise, and they know something you're just beginning to remember. You were never meant to blend in. You were born to break atmospheres. And tonight, everything changes. Stay with me. Your vindication is about to go public. Have you ever wondered why your battles have felt so impossibly intense? Why every step forward seemed to come with 10 steps backward? Why the very people who should have celebrated your victories were the ones orchestrating your defeats? Listen to me carefully. Dear chosen one, you've been in a war you didn't even know you were drafted into. Your life has never been ordinary because your calling has never been small. Every delay, every heartbreak, every loss that made you question God's faithfulness, it wasn't punishment. It was evidence. Evidence that you carry something so powerful, so threatening to the kingdom of darkness, that hell itself assembled an army to stop you before you even knew who you were. Think about this for a moment. Why would forces beyond this world spend decades trying to break someone who was just ordinary? Why would spiritual principalities coordinate attacks against someone who posed no threat? The very intensity of your warfare is proof of the magnitude of your destiny. You've spent years feeling forgotten, haven't you? Watching others receive recognition while your sacrifices went unnoticed. Sitting in church pews, wondering if God even sees you anymore. Questioning whether at your age, your moment has passed you by. But what if I told you that your invisibility has been your protection? What if your waiting season was actually your preparation chamber? Look at David, anointed as a teenager, but crowned at 30. 15 years of hiding in caves, running from Saul, watching lesser men sit on the throne that belonged to him. Do you think he felt forgotten? Do you think he questioned God's timing? Yet every night in those caves, every betrayal by those he trusted, every moment when death seemed certain, it was all forging the king who would write the psalms that still heal hearts today. Your decades of apparent delay haven't been waste. They've been weapons training. Consider Joseph. His own brothers threw him into a pit and sold him into slavery. Imagine the psychological warfare of that betrayal. Imagine the nights in prison wondering if God had abandoned him completely. Yet Psalm 105:19 tells us, "Until the time that his word came to pass, the word of the Lord tested him." Every injustice was a test. Every false accusation was preparation for the authority he would need to save nations. The pit wasn't punishment, it was promotion disguised as persecution. And Moses, at 80 years old, stuttering, believing his best years were behind him, suddenly called to confront Pharaoh and deliver an entire nation. The very age when our society says you should retire, God said, "Now you're ready for your real assignment." Your age isn't your disqualification, it's your credential. Your scars aren't your shame, they're your spiritual resume. But here's what the enemy never calculated. Your sensitivity to spiritual things has only increased through your trials. The very pain that was designed to break you has instead created a prophet's heart within you. You see through facades now. You discern spirits with surgical precision. You recognize wolves in sheep's clothing from miles away because you've been bitten by so many. They tried to isolate you from your spiritual community, didn't they? Made you feel like you didn't fit, like your revelations were too intense, like your prayers were too passionate. They convinced others that you were difficult or divisive, when really you were simply awakening to truth that made their comfortable lies uncomfortable. The estrangement you felt from family, from churches, from circles that once embraced you, it wasn't rejection, it was extraction. God was pulling you out of systems that were too small to contain what he was birthing in you. Every relationship that fell apart when you started seeking deeper truth, every door that slammed shut when you refused to compromise, every invitation that was rescinded when you wouldn't play their political games. Those weren't losses, they were liberation. You've been in a refining fire, chosen one, and what's emerging isn't the broken, defeated person the enemy wanted to create. What's emerging is a spiritual force of nature, someone who has been tested in every area and found faithful. Someone who has walked through valleys of shadows and emerged carrying the very light of heaven. The whispers about you in heavenly places have never stopped. While you felt forgotten on earth, your name has been constantly mentioned in the throne room. Angels have been taking notes on your endurance. Principalities have been filing reports on your refusal to quit. Your testimony has been disrupting demonic strategies across multiple dimensions. You didn't know it, but you've been the subject of intense spiritual surveillance, not because you were weak, but because you were dangerous. The years you thought were wasted were actually intelligence gathering for heaven. Every tear you cried was collected as evidence. Every prayer you whispered in desperation was recorded as testimony. Every time you chose faith over fear, hope over despair, love over bitterness, you were advancing God's kingdom in ways that shook the foundations of hell. And now, the very forces that tried to destroy you are about to witness your vindication. But this is only the beginning of what you need to understand about the battle that's been raging around your life. Comment 999 right now if you know deep down this is a holy interruption. Because what I'm about to reveal next will show you exactly who has been pulling the strings behind your suffering and why their time of reckoning has finally come. Chosen one, let me tell you something that's going to shift your entire understanding of where you stand right now. At this very moment, while you've been feeling invisible, while you've been questioning if your best days are behind you, there are conversations happening about you in rooms you've never stepped into. Boardrooms, prayer closets, government offices, spiritual realms. They tried to erase you, but heaven has rewritten the headlines. Listen to me carefully, because what I'm about to share is going to shatter the lie that you've been sold about your season of life. You see, the enemy has been working overtime to convince you that at your age, you're supposed to fade quietly into the background, that your voice doesn't matter anymore, that your dreams have expiration dates, that society has moved past you. But here's what hell doesn't want you to know. The very fact that you're being pushed into obscurity is proof that your anointing is about to explode into the light. Why do you think they're so desperate to silence the seasoned saints? Why are they flooding the airwaves with messages that your generation is outdated, irrelevant, past your prime? Because they know what you've forgotten, that wisdom cannot be faked, anointing cannot be manufactured, and the depth of your relationship with God is their greatest threat. You've been through fire that these younger generations have never faced. You've survived decades of spiritual warfare. You've buried loved ones, weathered financial storms, endured betrayals that would have destroyed weaker souls. And every scar, every tear, every sleepless night has been forming you into a weapon of unprecedented spiritual authority. The town, both earthly and heavenly, is talking about you, because God has decided your name will echo through eternity. Isaiah 60:15 declares, "Although you have been forsaken and hated, with no one traveling through, I will make you the everlasting pride and the joy of all generations." Do you hear that? Not just this generation, all generations. Your story isn't ending. It's about to become legendary. But I need to address the elephant in the room. Some of you are carrying shame about your past. Maybe you feel like you wasted years. Maybe you made decisions you regret. Maybe you believe the lies that whisper, "If only you had started sooner. If only you had been smarter. If only, if only, if only." Stop. Right there. That voice trying to disqualify you because of your age, your mistakes, your supposed missed opportunities, that's not the voice of heaven. That's the desperate scream of an enemy who knows his time is running out because your time is just beginning. What they called too late, God calls right on time. The anointing isn't aging, it's activating. Think about Moses, 80 years old when God called him to deliver a nation. Think about Sarah, 90 years old when she conceived the child of promise. Think about Anna, the prophetess, 84 years old, still standing in the temple, still believing for the Messiah's arrival, and she was the one who got to see him first. Your spiritual clock doesn't tick the same way the world's clock ticks. While they measure you by calendar years, God measures you by kairos moments, divine appointments that transcend time itself. Right now, there are people in positions of power who are losing sleep over what you represent. They see something stirring in your generation that terrifies them. They see a group of people who can't be bought, can't be intimidated, can't be silenced by political correctness or social pressure. They see people who have nothing left to lose and everything eternal to gain. You are the generation that remembers when prayer was allowed in schools. You remember when families gathered around dinner tables instead of screens. You remember when a handshake meant something, when character mattered more than charisma, when truth was truth regardless of who it offended. And now, God is raising you up as his witnesses in the most crucial hour of human history. But here's where it gets intense. The enemy isn't just trying to silence you randomly. He's specifically targeting you because he knows what's coming. He knows that when mature believers finally understand their authority, when seasoned saints finally step into their full anointing, kingdoms of darkness begin to crumble. You've been in the wilderness of preparation long enough. You've been sitting in the shadows of society's dismissal long enough. You've been accepting the lie that your best days are behind you for far too long. Esther 4:14 asks the question that's echoing over your life right now. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? This moment, this crisis, this generation that's lost its way, this culture that's forgotten its foundation, this nation that's wandering in spiritual darkness. You weren't placed here by accident. You weren't kept alive through all those battles just to fade away quietly. You are here for such a time as this. The conversations happening about you aren't just earthly conversations. There are angelic beings discussing your assignments. There are demonic forces strategizing about how to stop what's about to be released through you. There are governmental powers, both seen and unseen, that recognize the threat you represent to their agenda of deception. Share this message with someone who's been silenced by shame and comment, "I'm still rising." Let hell know you're not done, because what's about to happen next is going to prove that your greatest victories weren't in your youth, they're in your now. Chosen one, I need you to lean in close, because what I'm about to tell you is going to shatter every lie you've been carrying about your past, your pain, and your purpose. You've been asking God why He allowed them to humiliate you in public, why your own children turned their backs on you, why the church you served for decades whispered about you in the parking lot, why your retirement fund was stolen by someone you trusted, why your golden years became your most broken years. But what if I told you that God wasn't absent during your public humiliation? What if He was actually setting the stage for your public vindication? Listen to me carefully. God is flipping the table they nailed you to. You see, there's a divine principle that most people never understand. Vindication isn't coming quietly. Heaven will not redeem you in secret what you suffered in public. When God restores, He doesn't whisper it in dark corners. He announces it from the rooftops. Think about Nelson Mandela. 27 years in prison, 27 years of the world watching him rot behind bars. But when God moved, He didn't quietly release him into anonymity. He made him president of the very nation that imprisoned him. The same crowds that cheered for his imprisonment later lined the streets to celebrate his inauguration. That's how God operates. Chosen one, your restoration will be as public as your humiliation. Remember the prodigal son? The Bible tells us in Luke 15 that when he returned home, his father didn't quietly let him in through the back door. He threw a celebration so loud the whole neighborhood heard it. He put a ring on his finger and the best robe on his back. The father made sure everyone knew his son was home. But here's what's breaking my heart as I speak to you today. You're sitting there thinking you missed it. You're believing the lie that your best years are behind you. You're convinced that at your age, at 70, 75, 80 years old, God is done writing your story. Stop. Right there. Do you know what Jesus was doing at 33? He was hanging on a cross, appearing to be the biggest failure in human history. His own disciples abandoned him. The religious leaders mocked him. The crowds that once followed him now screamed for his crucifixion. But 3 days later, when he walked out of that tomb, it wasn't in secret. The earth shook. The graves opened. The soldiers fell like dead men. Matthew 28:2 tells us an angel descended from heaven and rolled back the stone, not to let Jesus out, but to let the world see he was already gone. Your resurrection moment is coming, and it won't be quiet. But I know what you're thinking. Pastor, you don't understand. My own daughter hasn't spoken to me in 5 years. My son sided with my ex-spouse and took everything. The people I mentored in ministry now act like they don't know me. I lost my home, my savings, my reputation. How can God flip this? Here's your answer. The same God who gave Abraham his promised son at 100 years old is still writing your story. The same God who made Moses a deliverer at 80 is still moving in your life. The same God who promoted Daniel in his 70s is still promoting his chosen ones. You didn't miss it. You didn't waste it. You were never forgotten. The only reason you're still breathing is because God is still planning. Every tear you cried in your living room while they celebrated your downfall, God collected in his bottle. Psalm 56:8 says he keeps track of every tear. Not one drop was wasted. Every night you went to bed, wondering if tomorrow would bring relief. God was working behind the scenes, moving pieces on a chessboard you couldn't see. Every time you whispered, "God, do you still see me?" He was orchestrating your comeback. The very people who wrote you off are about to watch God write your name in lights. The family members who discarded you are about to need what you carry. The financial institutions that denied you are about to court you. The doctors who gave you expiration dates are about to be amazed by your vitality. But here's what I need you to understand. Your vindication isn't just about you. It's about every elderly saint who's been told they're irrelevant. It's about every senior who's been pushed aside by a youth-obsessed culture. It's about every grandmother and grandfather who's been made to feel like their season is over. God is about to use your story to rewrite the narrative about what he can do in the twilight years of life. Say it aloud with me. My name is still on the scroll. Say it like you mean it. Because Revelation 3-5 promises that the one who overcomes will never have their name blotted out of the book of life. Your chapter isn't closing, chosen one. It's just getting to the good part. The plot twist is coming. The divine reversal is in motion. And when it happens, when your enemies see your restoration, when your children come running back, when your financial breakthrough manifests, when your health is renewed, when doors start opening that were bolted shut, remember this moment. Remember when you almost gave up. Because what's coming next is going to require everything you've learned in this wilderness season. Chosen one, what I'm about to share with you will fundamentally alter how you see your position in this cosmic drama unfolding around you. While earthly governments rise and fall, while presidents come and go, there's a higher government that has been watching your every move. And today, a holy government official is seeking an audience with you. Listen to me carefully. Heaven has jotzi you to a divine briefing. This isn't about your local mayor or your state governor. This is about the eternal government that rules over all creation, and they have classified intelligence about your destiny that will shock you to your core. You see, while you've been dealing with social security checks and Medicare forms, while you've been navigating the bureaucracy of this broken earthly system, there's been a parallel government operating in the spiritual realm. And in their files, your case has been marked urgent, divine intervention required. But here's what's going to absolutely stagger you. The wealth that was stolen from you, the opportunities that were blocked, the doors that were slammed in your face, none of it happened by accident. It was orchestrated by a shadow network that feared what you would become if you ever discovered your true governmental rank in the kingdom of heaven. Proverbs 13:22 declares with absolute authority, "The wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous." That's not just a nice Bible verse to read during Sunday service. That's a legal document. That's a divine decree. That's heaven's economics in action, and your account has been accumulating interest for decades. You think you're just another senior citizen living on a fixed income? You think your best years are behind you? Let me shatter that lie right now. You are not a forgotten retiree. You are a government agent of the Most High God, and your mission briefing has just been declassified. While your earthly peers are settling into retirement communities, God is recruiting kings and queens for end-time assignments, and your name was on the list before the foundation of the world. They thought you were retired. Heaven says, you're just reassigned. You're not too old. You're too anointed to stop. But here's where this gets absolutely mind-blowing. The same shadow network that's been suppressing your breakthrough has been operating like a spiritual crime syndicate. They've been intercepting your divine communications. They've been blocking your heavenly downloads. They've been sabotaging your spiritual GPS so you couldn't find your way to your destiny. Think about it. How many times have you felt like you were supposed to be somewhere else, doing something greater? How many nights have you lain awake knowing there was more to your story? That wasn't restlessness. That was your governmental assignment, trying to break through their interference. And now, the government of heaven has had enough. Revelation 3-8 is thundering across the spirit realm right now. I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. Did you hear that? No one can shut what God has opened for you. Not the banks that denied you, not the family members who dismissed you, not the doctors who wrote you off, not the society that calls you over the hill. Heaven's doors don't operate on earthly age restrictions. Heaven's opportunities don't have expiration dates. Heaven's assignments don't come with retirement plans. Right now, as I speak these words, divine warrants are being issued. Spiritual subpoenas are being served. The corrupt officials who stole from your account are about to face cosmic justice. The conspirators who whispered lies about your capability are about to be exposed by the light of truth. But here's what's driving them into absolute panic. You're not chasing favor anymore. Favor is chasing you. You're not begging for doors to open. Doors are begging for your presence. You're not wondering if you matter. The entire universe is wondering what you'll do next. The evidence is already mounting. Have you noticed how things that seemed impossible are suddenly shifting? Have you felt that strange stirring in your spirit, like something ancient is awakening? Have you caught yourself dreaming dreams that seem too big for your current circumstances? That's not your imagination. That's your governmental clearance being upgraded in real time. You see, chosen one, they never understood that what they meant for evil, God has been transforming into evidence for your promotion. Every tear you cried became a witness. Every door they slammed became a testimony. Every lie they told about you became proof of your anointing. And now the government of heaven is ready to make their move. But I need to ask you something that's going to cut straight to your heart. What if everything you thought disqualified you was actually what qualified you? What if every setback was a setup? What if every attack was proof that you carry something the enemy desperately wants to stop? The shadow network studied your file because they knew something you forgot. You're not just another senior citizen. You're a sleeping giant in the kingdom of God, and your awakening is their worst nightmare. They thought if they could keep you distracted with medical bills and family drama, if they could convince you that your time had passed, if they could make you believe that your voice doesn't matter anymore, they could prevent the very thing that's about to happen. But heaven has a different plan, and in heaven's government, your age is not a liability. It's your greatest asset. Your experience is not a burden. It's your weapon. Your scars are not disqualifications, they're your credentials. The question is no longer whether you're ready. The question is whether heaven's enemies are ready for what's about to be unleashed through you. Chosen one, I need you to close your eyes for just a moment and picture this. Somewhere in the celestial archives of heaven, there's a mahogany desk that's been untouched for decades. And on that desk, beneath layers of cosmic dust, sits a manila folder with your name written in golden ink. The label reads, "To be activated at the appointed time." That folder has been waiting while you wondered if God had forgotten you, waiting while you watched younger generations step into callings you once dreamed of, waiting while you questioned whether your season had passed, whether your best years were buried with your youth. But here's what's going to absolutely shatter every lie you've believed about yourself. You were never disqualified. You were simply delayed. Think about Moses. At 80 years old, 80, when most people are settling into retirement homes, God called him to lead a nation out of bondage. Exodus 7-7 tells us Moses was 80 years old and Aaron 83 when they spoke to Pharaoh. Did you catch that? God's greatest assignment came when the world would have written Moses off as too old, too slow, too past his prime. Dear friend, I know what you're thinking right now. I know, because I've sat with thousands of you, heard your whispered confessions in the quiet moments after service. Pastor, I'm 65 and I feel like I wasted my life. I'm 72 and I made too many mistakes for God to use me now. I'm 58 and the church hurt me so badly I don't even know if I believe anymore. Let me tell you something that's going to pierce through every wall of regret you've built around your heart. The pain didn't cancel the purpose. It qualified you for deeper glory. You see, while you were nursing wounds from spiritual betrayal, God was preparing you for an assignment that required someone who understood betrayal intimately. While you were walking through decades of what felt like wilderness, He was developing in you a depth of compassion that can only come from having your own dreams deferred. While you were questioning everything you thought you knew about faith, He was burning away the religious facade to reveal the pure gold of authentic relationship. Every gray hair on your head represents wisdom the younger generation desperately needs. Every wrinkle around your eyes holds stories of survival that could save someone's life. Every scar on your heart has become a doorway for healing others who are walking the same dark path you've already conquered. But the enemy has been working overtime to convince you that your best days are behind you. He's whispered lies, that your generation is being replaced, that your voice doesn't matter anymore, that you should just quietly fade into the background and let others take the stage. That's because he knows something you're just beginning to remember. Your generation carries an authority that comes from having walked with God through multiple storms. You've seen Him provide when there was no way. You've watched Him heal when doctors gave up. You've witnessed miracles that the Instagram generation only reads about in books. The church hurt you because the enemy knew that if you ever fully healed and stepped back into your calling, you would become an unstoppable force. The betrayals came because hell itself was terrified of what you would become once you stopped trying to please people and started walking in your authentic divine authority. Right now, as I speak these words over your life, something is shifting in the heavenly realm. That forgotten file with your name is being pulled from the dust. Angels are standing at attention. Your breakthrough isn't coming in months or years. It's coming now, in this season, in this very moment, as you realize that God's plans for you haven't expired. Jeremiah 29:11 wasn't written with an age limit. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you hope and a future. Hope and a future, not hope and a past, not hope and regrets, but hope and a future that starts today. The very fact that you're still breathing means your assignment isn't complete. The very fact that your heart is still beating means there are people waiting for the wisdom only you can give. The very fact that you're hearing these words right now means heaven has been orchestrating this divine appointment to wake you up to who you really are. You are not too old. You are seasoned. You are not past your prime. You are perfectly positioned. You are not forgotten. You are about to be featured. Type "I'm still on heaven's list" in the comments right now. Let the enemy know you remember now. Let hell tremble as you declare that your story isn't over. It's just getting to the good part. Because what's about to unfold in your life won't just shock your enemies, it's going to rewrite the very definition of what's possible when God decides to activate a forgotten file. And the question that's burning in the heavenly realm right now is this: are you ready to discover why they tried so hard to keep you quiet? Chosen one, I need you to understand something that's going to revolutionize how you see this season of your life. You've been told that your best years are behind you. You've been convinced that dreams have expiration dates. You've been programmed to believe that after 60, 70, 80 years on this earth, you should be winding down, settling in, accepting less. But what if everything you've been told about aging is a lie designed to steal your greatest season? Look around you right now. The world is celebrating youth while discarding wisdom. They're chasing energy while ignoring experience. They're worshipping potential while dismissing proven power. But God's economy operates on an entirely different system. In God's kingdom, what blooms in the final season is the most fragrant. You're not late, you're right on divine time. Let me paint you a picture that's going to shake your soul. The tree looked dead in February. Brittle branches, no leaves, no life visible to the naked eye. Every passerby assumed it was finished, ready for removal. But April had plans, and when spring arrived, that same tree exploded with blossoms so magnificent that crowds gathered just to witness its glory. Right now, dear chosen one, you are that tree. The world sees your February, but heaven sees your April. Joel 2:25 declares with thunderous authority, I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten. Do you hear that? Not some years, not a few months, the years. Every single year that was stolen, sabotaged, or surrendered is about to be returned to you with compound interest. But here's what's going to blow your mind. God isn't just restoring your past, He's igniting your future. Isaiah 46:4 promises, even to your old age and grey hairs, I will be He, I will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you. This isn't maintenance mode, chosen one. This is acceleration mode. While society whispers that you're slowing down, God is declaring that you're speeding up. While the world suggests you're fading, heaven announces you're blazing. While culture implies you're finishing, the Almighty reveals you're just beginning. Think about Moses. 80 years old when God called him to liberate an entire nation. 80. When most people are thinking about retirement, Moses was receiving his life's greatest assignment. Abraham was 99 when God promised him nations would come from his lineage. Sarah was 90 when she conceived the miracle child that would change history. What makes you think God is done with you? Here's the truth that's going to ignite something ancient within your spirit. What if the fire that's waking up in you now is what generations after you will walk in? What if this stirring in your soul isn't a memory of what was, but a preview of what's coming? What if every single experience, every heartbreak, every triumph, every lesson learned has been preparing you for this very moment? You're not the end of a lineage. You're the root system of a new one. That restlessness you feel isn't confusion, it's conception. That dissatisfaction with status quo isn't depression, it's divine discontent. That fire stirring in your belly isn't indigestion, it's inspiration preparing to birth something the world has never seen. For too long you've been living like you're in spiritual winter. But I'm here to announce that your season is shifting. The ground beneath your feet is warming. The atmosphere around you is changing. The very air you breathe is pregnant with possibility. God is awakening gifts that have been dormant. He's reviving dreams that seemed dead. He's resurrecting visions that were buried under years of doubt and disappointment. The anointing that's been sleeping in your DNA is stirring. The calling that's been quiet in your spirit is roaring back to life. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. Your greatest impact, your most powerful influence, your deepest fulfillment is still ahead of you. The devil has been working overtime to convince you that your prime is past tense. Why? Because he knows that when a seasoned saint finally steps into their full authority, kingdoms shake. You carry something the younger generation doesn't have: proven resilience. You've survived what would have destroyed others. You've endured what would have ended others. You've overcome what would have obliterated others. That's not just experience, that's spiritual nuclear power. The church needs your wisdom. The world needs your witness. The next generation needs your guidance, and God needs your yes to what He's about to birth through you. So let me ask you directly, what dream have you buried that needs resurrection? What calling have you quieted that needs to roar again? What gift have you hidden that needs to shine? What fire have you extinguished that needs to burn bright. If you feel something reigniting in your spirit right now, even if it's just a flicker, even if it's just a whisper, I want you to comment, "The fire is back." Say it, even if you don't fully believe it yet. Sometimes faith starts with words before it fills your heart. Because what's about to happen in your life isn't just restoration, it's revolution. And every revolution starts with someone bold enough to believe that their winter is ending and their spring has arrived. But the question that will determine everything is this: are you ready to stop living like your story is ending when God is declaring it's just beginning? Chosen one, let me tell you something that's going to revolutionize how you see your entire existence. The enemy has been feeding you the most destructive lie ever whispered into human ears: that your best years are behind you, that your fire has dimmed, that your assignment expired with your youth. But here's the earth-shattering truth they don't want you to discover. Your age didn't retire your assignment, it matured it. Right now, as you sit there feeling like maybe you've missed your moment, maybe you're too tired, maybe it's too late to start over, I need you to understand something profound. You're holding blueprints you never realized were in your spirit. Divine blueprints that have been aging like fine wine, growing more potent with every year of experience, every scar of wisdom, every tear of understanding. The world looks at your gray hair and sees decline, but heaven looks at your silver crown and sees graduation. They see completion. They see someone who's finally ready for the assignment that would have crushed you in your 20s. Think about this. Moses was 80 years old when God called him to lead an entire nation out of bondage. 80. While his peers were sitting by the fire telling old stories, Moses was splitting seas and speaking face to face with the Almighty. Exodus 7:7 tells us, Moses was 80 years old and Aaron 83 when they spoke to Pharaoh. But here's what breaks my heart. Right now, there are chosen ones watching this who are younger than Moses was when he started his greatest work, and they're convinced they're finished. You're sitting there thinking 65 is old, 70 is ancient, 80 is over. But God's mathematics don't follow earthly calendars. Listen to this and let it penetrate your soul. Caleb was 85 years old when he declared, "Give me this mountain." Joshua 14:10-12. While other men his age were complaining about their aches and pains, Caleb was claiming territories. While others were talking about their limitations, he was conquering giants. What mountain has God placed in your spirit that you've been too intimidated to climb because you think you're too old? The corporate world tried to convince Colonel Sanders he was washed up at 65. They handed him a social security check and told him to fade away quietly. But that man took his secret recipe and knocked on 1,009 doors before someone said yes to Kentucky Fried Chicken. Today, KFC serves millions worldwide because one man refused to believe his assignment had an expiration date. Anna Mary Robertson. Moses didn't touch a paintbrush seriously until she was in her 70s. Grandma Moses became one of America's most celebrated folk artists, proving that creativity doesn't diminish with age. It deepens, it purifies, it becomes more authentic. But right now, I can feel the resistance in some of your hearts. You're thinking, "That's beautiful, but you don't understand my situation. My body hurts. My energy isn't what it used to be. I've made too many mistakes. I've wasted too much time." Let me address that lie directly. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Every mistake you made taught you something essential for this moment. Every failure carved out space for greater wisdom. Every disappointment prepared you to handle success with humility. You haven't been wasting time. You've been in divine preparation. The enemy convinced you that your fire was dying, but the truth is your fire was aging, not extinguishing. The difference between young fire and mature fire is this. Young fire burns bright, but burns out quickly, Mature fire burns steady, burns deeper, burns with purpose and precision. Your 20s were about passion, your 30s were about building, your 40s were about surviving, your 50s were about understanding, but your 60s, 70s, 80s, these are about legacy. These are about leaving footprints so deep that generations will follow your path. Right now, there are assignments waiting for you that require exactly the wisdom you've gained, exactly the patience you've developed, exactly the spiritual maturity you've earned through decades of walking with God. Do you think it's coincidence that you're watching this message right now? Do you believe it's accident that your heart is stirring, even as your mind protests? Your spirit recognizes what your flesh wants to deny. You're not finished. You're just getting started in the most important chapter of your entire existence. The Apostle Paul wrote some of his most powerful letters from prison in his later years. John received the revelation of Jesus Christ when he was exiled on Patmos as an elderly man. Their greatest spiritual contributions came not in their prime, but in their supposed decline. They told you the fire was gone, but the fire was aging, not dying. Here's what I need you to do right now, and this is crucial. Comment below, "Activate me, Lord." This isn't just a phrase, this is a spiritual recommissioning. This is you telling heaven that you refuse to accept the world's retirement plan for your soul. But there's something else stirring in the spirit realm that you need to understand. As you're awakening to your unfinished assignment, there are forces that have been counting on your silence, your retreat, your acceptance of irrelevance. And they are absolutely terrified of what happens when the wisdom of your years combines with the fire of your calling. Chosen one, we've exposed the conspiracies, we've watched your enemies crumble, and we've witnessed divine justice unfold. But what happens next will determine whether your victory becomes a monument or a movement. Heaven's treasury is open, but its voice activated. You must speak into your legacy. Listen to me carefully, because what I'm about to reveal will shake you to your core. You think this battle was about you? You think this vindication was just personal? Dear chosen one, you've been thinking too small. This entire orchestration, every attack, every breakthrough, every moment of divine intervention has been preparing you for the most sacred responsibility known to humanity, becoming a generational bridge. Right now, as you sit there basking in your victory, there are children not yet born who are depending on what you do in this moment. There are bloodlines waiting to be blessed or cursed by your next decision. There are generational cycles that will either be broken or perpetuated based on whether you understand the weight of what you now carry. This is not about money, it's about mantle. A divine transfer of generational weight is being placed on willing shoulders. Let me ask you something that's going to pierce your soul. What if your grandmother's prayers weren't answered in her lifetime because they were destined to be answered in yours? What if every tear your ancestors cried in poverty, every prayer they whispered in the darkness, every dream they deferred was actually being deposited into a spiritual inheritance account with your name on it? Deuteronomy 8:18 declares, "Remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth, and so confirms His covenant, which He swore to your ancestors." Your breakthrough isn't just about you, it's the compound interest on generations of faith. But here's where it gets terrifying and beautiful at the same time. You're standing at the most dangerous crossroads in your spiritual journey. You can either steward this victory or squander it. You can either pass it forward or let it die with you. Your prayers are currency. Every time you've cried out to God in desperation, every midnight petition, every whispered plea, those weren't just emotional releases. They were deposits in heaven's bank, accumulating divine interest, waiting for the moment when God would release them all at once. And that moment is now. Your stories are sacred scrolls. The testimony of how you survived their attacks, how you overcame their schemes, how you rose from their attempts to destroy you. These aren't just personal victories. They're prophetic blueprints for everyone who comes after you. Your children, your spiritual descendants, the chosen ones who will follow in your footsteps, need to know that victory is possible. Your faith is soil for generations unborn. Every time you believed when it made no sense, every moment you stood firm when everything was shaking, every decision to trust God instead of your circumstances, you are planting seeds in spiritual soil that will produce harvests for people you'll never meet on this side of eternity. But listen to this shocking truth. Most chosen ones die with their inheritance locked in heaven's vault because they never learned how to speak it into existence for the next generation. How many of your relatives took their blessings to the grave because they thought it was just about surviving their own season? How many breakthrough prayers died with the person who prayed them because they never understood they were supposed to be a bridge, not a destination? Psalm 78:4 commands us, "We will not hide them from their descendants. We will tell the next generation the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord, His power, and the wonders He has done." But chosen one, you can't transfer what you don't acknowledge. You can't pass down what you don't possess with intentionality. Right now, there's a generational transfer happening that's bigger than your personal victory. Heaven is downloading authority, wisdom, and resources into your hands, not just for your comfort, but for your commission. You're being entrusted with spiritual capital that took generations to accumulate. Think about this. Every injustice your ancestors faced, every door that was slammed in their faces, every opportunity they were denied, all of that pain is being transformed into your power. Every limitation they accepted is being shattered by your breakthrough. Every ceiling they couldn't crack is becoming the floor for those who come after you. You're not leaving behind just memories, you're leaving behind momentum. But here's the sobering reality. This transfer only happens through intentional activation. It doesn't happen automatically. It doesn't happen passively. You must speak it, declare it, claim it, and steward it with the understanding that you're not the final destination, you're the launching pad. The enemy fought you so hard because he knew that if you ever figured out you weren't just fighting for yourself, if you ever understood that your victory would create a generational ripple effect, his grip on entire family lines would be broken forever. Right now, as you feel the weight of this revelation settling on your spirit, something profound is shifting in the heavenly realm. The same God who told Abraham in Genesis 17:7, "I will establish my covenant as an everlasting covenant between me and you and your descendants after you for the generations to come," is establishing something eternal through your breakthrough. The wealth that's being restored to you isn't just for your bank account, it's seed money for the kingdom assignments your descendants will carry. The favor that's opening doors for you isn't just for your career, it's creating pathways for those who share your DNA and your calling. The wisdom you've gained through your battles isn't just for your peace of mind, it's a manual for spiritual warfare that will be passed down like a family heirloom. Comment, "My ceiling is their floor." Speak legacy now. Because chosen one, what you do with this revelation in the next few moments will determine whether your victory becomes a generational blessing or just another story that dies with time. The transfer is ready. The vault is open. Heaven is waiting for you to speak your legacy into existence. But time is running out. And there's one final revelation that will determine whether you truly understand the magnitude of what's been placed in your hands. Listen to me, chosen one, because what I'm about to reveal is going to shatter every lie the enemy has whispered about your season of life. They told you that your prime was behind you. They convinced you that your voice was getting weaker. They made you believe that the torch was meant to be passed, not carried higher. But the gray-haired lions are waking up again, and Satan himself is trembling at what's about to be unleashed. You see, dear chosen one, there's a reason why the enemy worked overtime to make you feel invisible after 60. There's a strategic purpose behind why society pushed you toward rocking chairs and retirement homes. They knew something that you're just now remembering. You are not winding down. You are winding up for the greatest spiritual battle of your lifetime. Joel 2:28 declares with thunderous authority, "Your old men will dream dreams, your young men will see visions." Notice something powerful here. God didn't say your dreams would fade with age. He said they would intensify. He didn't say your visions would blur. He said they would sharpen into prophetic clarity that cuts through darkness like a sword. But here's what's driving the kingdom of hell absolutely insane. You remember things they desperately need forgotten. You lived through revivals they're trying to erase from history. You witnessed miracles their teaching never happened. You carry testimonies in your bones that demolish their modern lies about God's power. Satan is terrified of elders who remember, elders who still prophesy, elders who still fast, elders who are done being polite about truth. Think about this for a moment. Why do you think they've been so aggressive about silencing your generation? Why the constant message that you should step aside, stay quiet, let the younger generation lead? Because you are the living witnesses of what real faith looks like. You prayed when prayer was still powerful. You believed when miracles were still normal. You walked with God when His presence was still welcome in America. You are the bridge between yesterday's revival and tomorrow's revolution. But the enemy made a fatal miscalculation. He thought that by making you feel forgotten, he could make you feel finished. He assumed that by convincing society you were irrelevant, he could convince you that you were powerless. What he didn't count on was this: God has been saving His most devastating weapons for last. You thought God only called the young, but the young need your roar to find their path. Right now, across this nation, there are 20-somethings and 30-somethings drowning in confusion, desperately searching for spiritual fathers and mothers who will show them what authentic faith looks like. They're surrounded by shallow religion and powerless Christianity. They need you to stand up and demonstrate what it means to move mountains, to speak to storms, to command demons to flee. Your wrinkles are not signs of weakness. They are battle scars from spiritual warfare. Your gray hair is not a symbol of decline. It's a crown of wisdom earned through decades of walking with the Almighty. Your slower pace is not deterioration. It's the confident stride of someone who knows exactly where they're going because they've already walked with God through hell and back. Moses was 80 when God called him to deliver a nation. Abraham was 99 when God promised him a son. Caleb was 85 when he declared, "Give me this mountain." Their greatest victories came when the world said they were too old to matter. But here's the prophetic thunderbolt that's about to split the sky. You are not just remembering your past, you are prophesying your future. Those dreams you thought were buried with your youth, God is resurrecting them with compound interest. Those visions you assumed were too late to fulfill, heaven is positioning you for divine acceleration that will make up for every lost year. The young generation is crying out for spiritual parents who won't compromise truth for comfort. They're begging for elders who will stand in the gap, who will fast and pray with the same intensity they had at 30, who will speak prophetic words that shake hell's foundations. Your voice is not getting weaker, it's getting more dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Your prayers are not less powerful, they're more targeted, more precise, backed by decades of proven faithfulness. Your worship is not dimmer, it's deeper, richer, carrying the weight of a lifetime spent discovering God's goodness. This is your hour of divine vindication. While they were planning your spiritual retirement, God was planning your spiritual acceleration. While they were writing your obituary, heaven was writing your resurrection story. Say it aloud right now. I am not done. I'm just louder now. Type those words in the comments. Let it be your declaration that echoes from earth to heaven. I am not done. I'm just louder now. Because chosen one, what's coming next will prove that God's most powerful weapons have been hidden in plain sight, disguised as grandparents, dismissed as has-beens, overlooked as yesterday's generation. But tomorrow's breakthrough is about to reveal the truth that hell has been trying to hide. The prophetic elders are awakening, and when they fully arise, the earth itself will tremble at the sound of their unified roar. Chosen one, as we reach the end of this sacred journey together, I need you to hold these truths close to your heart like precious gems that can never be stolen from you. Remember this: you are not an accident. Every battle you faced, every tear you've shed, every moment you felt forgotten, it was all preparation for this very hour when God is about to flip the script on your entire life. The conspiracies against you are crumbling. The thieves who stole your blessings are being exposed. The lies spoken about your character are being silenced by the thunder of divine truth. Remember this: your age is not your limitation, it's your qualification. While the world whispers that your best days are behind you, heaven is declaring that your most powerful chapter is just beginning. You carry wisdom that can't be Googled, faith that can't be faked, and prayers that move mountains because they're seasoned with decades of proven trust in the Almighty. Remember this: you are the talk of the town because God Himself is orchestrating your comeback. When heaven decides to vindicate you, no earthly force can stop what's coming. Your reputation is being restored, your inheritance is being returned, and your destiny is being unveiled in ways that will leave your enemies speechless and your supporters in awe. But most importantly, remember this: you are not alone. You have never been alone. Even in your darkest moments, when it felt like the whole world had turned against you, there was an army of angels surrounding you, a cloud of witnesses cheering you on, and a community of chosen ones just like you, fighting the same battles, carrying the same calling, walking the same narrow path toward divine purpose. Right here, right now, there are thousands of souls watching this message who understand your struggle because they've lived it. They know what it feels like to be misunderstood, betrayed, attacked, and counted out. But look at us now, still standing, still believing, still rising. We are your spiritual family, and we're not going anywhere. Let me ask you something that will echo in your spirit long after this video ends. If God brought you this far through everything you've endured, what makes you think He's going to abandon you now, right at the moment of your greatest breakthrough? Before we close, I want to pray over you with the authority of someone who has witnessed God's faithfulness for decades, who has seen impossible situations turn around overnight, who has watched the Almighty move mountains for His chosen ones. Let us pray together. Heavenly Father, I place my hand on the shoulder of every precious soul hearing these words. Lord, you see their tears, you know their struggles, you understand their pain in ways no human ever could. Right now, I ask you to pour out your supernatural peace over their hearts. Wash away every doubt, every fear, every whisper that says they're not enough, not chosen, not worthy of your best. God, you are the God of suddenlies. You are the God who makes a way where there seems to be no way. I ask you to accelerate their breakthrough, to expedite their vindication, to multiply their blessings beyond what their minds can comprehend. Let every stolen blessing be returned with divine interest. Let every closed door swing wide open. Let every lie spoken against them become a launching pad for their testimony. Father, give them supernatural strength for this next season. Anoint their steps, guard their hearts, and surround them with people who will recognize their worth and celebrate their calling. Let them feel your presence so strongly that they never question their identity as your chosen one again. And Lord, use their story, every trial, every triumph, to encourage others who are still fighting battles in secret. Let their life become a lighthouse for souls still lost in the storm. In Jesus' mighty name, Amen. Chosen one, I want you to do something powerful right now. In the comments below, share one word that describes how you're feeling after this message. Just one word. Let it be your declaration to this community that you're still here, still fighting, still believing. Your word might be exactly what someone else needs to see to keep going. And if this message stirred something deep in your spirit, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs to remember they're not alone. Someone who needs to hear that their battles are not in vain. Someone who has forgotten they are chosen. You never know whose life you might save by simply hitting that share button. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. Thank you for having the courage to face these truths, for opening your heart to receive this word, for being part of this incredible community of chosen ones. Your presence here matters more than you know. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. We're building something powerful here, a family of believers who refuse to give up, who hold each other accountable to our divine calling, who celebrate every victory and pray through every valley together. Remember, chosen one, your story is not over. Your best chapter is being written right now. Walk boldly into your destiny, knowing that heaven itself is backing your every step. You are chosen. You are loved. You are unstoppable. Until we meet again, may God's peace guard your heart and His favor go before you in everything you do. God bless you, chosen one. The world is waiting to see what happens when you fully step into who you were born to be.